Hey, what's going on, everybody? Sitting here on my porch as this storm is rolling through, and so grateful for the rain that we're getting. I wanted to share some thoughts this morning with you out of Proverbs chapter 7. Now, Proverbs chapter 7, come on, thunder. Proverbs chapter 7 is a chapter where it's really all about how to avoid temptation and how wisdom will help us navigate the temptations of our life, especially of kind of the sexual temptation things. But Proverbs 7, there's a couple things that stood out to me. Verse 6 starts to say, this is out of the Message paraphrase. It says, "As soon as I stood at the window of my house looking out through the shutters, watching the mindless crowd stroll by, I spotted a young man without any sense, arriving at the corner of the street where she lived, then turning up the path to her house," talking about the seductress. And it said that there was a young person who showed up without any sense. And I kind of had pause to remind myself, as a parent, it's my job to train, to equip, to discipline, and to help my kids live a disciplined life in the area of temptation. It's up to me to educate them about how to use social media properly. It's up to me to point them to God in every arena of their life. You know, they were created in a wonderful way. Our kids were created, each human being created in a masterful way by God. And we want to point them to God, even in their understanding of sexuality, of sensual things, of to who God's made them to be. We want to point them to God in that, to let them see how they were created by God for a purpose, for amazing things, and that He alone is worthy of it. And we want to teach them how to be God-honoring in their decisions and their thoughts, in how they treat people of the opposite sex, how they treat other people in general, and how we interact with one another online. It's up to us as parents to do that. Parents, if you're looking for a great resource on just kind of how to queue up some conversations with your kids, I recommend going to parentcue.org. That's parentcue.org. Chock full of resources and tidbits on how to cue you as a parent to have just biblical, God-honoring conversations with your kids. But it's up to us. Otherwise, we'll have kids walking through life. If parents don't do their job to equip and to train and to instruct and to warn and to help their kids discover God, how to be God-honoring in every area of your life, if parents don't do that, who will? And so parents, we want to take our response very seriously. But then there's another part of Proverbs that kind of caught my attention. It says, kind of towards the end of it, kind of plays out the story of this young man who gets pulled away and seduced and kind of falls to the trap of these things. It says this: "Soon she has him eating out of her hand, bewitched by her honeyed speech. Before you know it, she's trotting behind her like a calf led to the butcher shop, like a stag lured into ambush, then shot with an arrow like a bird flying into a net, not knowing that his flying life is over." And I was thinking about how this is the end result, right? This is at the end of those decisions of being led away and the temptation getting the better of him. This is the end of it. Like his flying life, it's over. And I was reminded of the movie Click. Adam Sandler kind of starred in it, but it was about a dad who just kind of clicked through autopilot, different decisions, different scenarios, just kind of clicked based on past decisions, continued making that same pattern of decision. And you fast forward to the end of his life, and it's not where he wanted it to be. He's lost his family, lost respect with his peers. He's attained kind of worldly success, but he's kind of lost it all. And I think for us, it's important to recognize when we're in the middle of a temptation, or before we click on the link, before we click on the friend request, before we click to respond to the text message, before we, click to even try and click on the TV channel. Before we click on those things, before we fall to that temptation, before we start down a path, we need to pause. We need to click pause, and we need to fast forward that decision. Fast forward it and say, is this going to help me achieve my goals? Is this going to get me where I want to go? Is this actually worth the cost in the end? And we've got to play out the movie. And I love that here in Proverbs, it plays the movie out for us. It follows a young man who's led down a path, and it forwards it all the way to the end, and it says it's kind of wasted. It's not worth it. Recently, I heard Pastor Craig Rochelle say that he said this as it relates to purity and temptation. He said, why wait tomorrow to avoid a temptation when you can eliminate it today? In other words, what are the things you can do today to eliminate those temptations? What are the guardrails you can put up in your life? How can you insulate and guard your own heart from those things? How can you, what if you stopped keeping secrets from your spouse and you said no secrets, no hidden passwords, no hidden accounts on social media? Like what if you said, I'm not going to open the door to anything in my life that would one day lead me down a path. I'm just going to avoid it and eliminate it today rather than just deal with it tomorrow. No, I'm going to eliminate it today. What are those things for you? You know, there's some things like that I've placed in my own life. You know, I know the temptations that are out there, those things. So if I'm meeting with somebody of the opposite, always doing it in a public place or somebody else is nearby, I always tell my wife who I meet with and when I meet with them and things of that nature. When my wife goes to bed at night, I go to bed too. Even if I'm not tired, I'll lay in bed and I'll watch Jimmy Fallon and I'll pull up on my iPad Sports Center. And I'll go to bed, but I'm not going to stay up because I know that that's where those temptations really like to show themselves. And so why give it the opportunity? I'm just going to eliminate it by not giving it the opportunity at all. What are the things that you can do today to eliminate those distractions, to eliminate those temptations, to eliminate those things? And I think at the end of the day, if we can remember that we can push pause before we make a decision and play it out and see where it would lead us, maybe we would make a wiser decision in this moment. So don't rush into things. Click pause, ask God for his grace, and then make a different decision. And remember, if you've made the wrong decision, grace is just a prayer away. Forgiveness is available. God's grace abounds. So let's do everything that we can to guard our hearts, to put the guardrails into place, to pursue purity with our lives rather than looking at it as a line that we cross. It's a person that we're pursuing. And so let's pursue Christ with everything that we have, and let's not be led astray, and let's take the warnings from Proverbs 7 and take them to heart, and live our best life and avoid the traps that are around. So, hey, enjoy the rain today, those of you here in Fort Scott, Kansas. Man, we're so thankful for it. I hope you have a blessed day today. And remember to click pause and make wise decisions. We love you guys.